Phase Hero episode 57. This is our Thunderbolts spoiler-filled review and discussion episode. I'm BD, joined today by Jamie Jirak.
Hello.
We got Jenna Anderson.
Hey, everybody.
We got Aaron Perine.
I'm here too.
Where are you, Aaron?
We're at IMAX, dude.
We are at IMAX HQ. We're in partnership with IMAX for Thunderbolts because this is an episode so big. I dare say it's our biggest episode of the year, so we got to do it the place you watch the biggest movies, IMAX. And we're hugely grateful for IMAX to having us here, getting all four of us together here in LA to talk about Thunderbolts. And we've all now seen the movie.
Yes, we have.
We sure have.
Okay, I've already shared my thoughts because I saw it a couple days ago. You guys saw it last night for the first time. Well, by the time people are seeing this, I guess it's been a few days. But at the time of recording here at IMAX HQ, you guys got to see it last night. Jamie, what is your spoiler-free reaction? And then we'll get into the breakdown, the review, the Easter eggs, and what this means for what's next. But of course, we start with reactions.
Loved it. What a breath of fresh air. Especially, like, I was kind of disappointed with the last movie. And this one, just even sitting with it overnight, I had such a fun time watching it. I love that it's so funny, but so dark at the same time. Tonally, I think it's different from anything we've seen in the MCU, which is great. And that team dynamic, we knew they were going to be a good team, but watching it unfold is a completely different thing. So I had a great time. I can't wait to go again. I'm going to go next week. In IMAX? Yes.
Did you guys hear, at the beginning of that, did you hear what I heard? Jamie hates Captain America.
Oh my, we're not doing this.
Let the bit die.
The bit will never die.
Nah, it's the
We're
internet.
nothing without a bit. Jenna, what'd you think?
I agree. I think it was incredible. It was so fun. There's not a weak link in the entire cast, but it is Florence Pugh's movie, first and foremost, and she crushes it. If you went back in time and you told me watching Captain America: The Winter Soldier like over and over again that a movie like this would exist with like Bucky and all of these other very like street level characters in this context, I would not have believed you. I think the places that it goes to with grief and found family and just all of the emotion of it is insane to see in a Marvel movie in this context and getting as dark as it gets while still being kind of like funny in its humor. So I loved it. I thought the action sequences were cool. Like across the board, it was great.
Aaron?
I mean, between this and Sinners, we in the midst of a revival, and that's not just a joke about Sinners. Like, I really was like, wow, the energy going into the rest of summer is going to be great.
Yeah.
This is a great leaping pad for everything else. Florence Pugh's amazing. Wyatt Russell, I've said before, you have a very punchable face. You have a very punchable face in this movie as well, but you're very, very good at it. So that's great too. And I enjoyed myself, although she is a little heavier. If you're on the heavy side, if you're in the Aaron spectrum of the hosts here, this is a little heavier than maybe you're expecting.
It is definitely a mature movie in ways that I wasn't really expecting from Marvel. Like, they say meth.
Yeah.
That did get me. Yeah, really.
I was like, yo, they're talking about meth addiction in a Marvel movie? They're making tiny dick jokes in a Marvel movie?
Oh my gosh.
But here's the thing. There's the line in the movie where, what's Geraldine's character's name?
Mel.
Mel says, I was in high school when the aliens came. And to me, it's like, I was 16 when Iron Man came out. We were all 16 years younger than we are now, or 17 years younger than we are now. What is it, 19 years?
17, because it was. I saw that movie in theaters the week after I graduated high school.
So 2008 to 2025. Yeah, we're all grown up now. So I personally think Marvel is kind of aware that a large part of the audience is ready for more mature stuff, and they're giving you, look at Daredevil, look at Thunderbolts, and then they'll also give you the Miss Marvel and the Marvels, and they're diversifying the tone and the maturity of it. I've always gravitated towards the more mature, more grounded stuff. Aaron, I know it's on the other side of that spectrum.
Right.
And you still like this movie.
Yeah, I still enjoyed it. Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm curious, because Aaron, this did not make the cut for your top 8.
Oh my God, wait, that's true.
Not made the cut. Man, I made that list so fast. I made it so fast, yeah. I enjoyed it though. I did.
Do you think at the end of the year, when we have our top 10s, it's gonna have climbed?
Listen, Ryan ain't disappointed this year. Come on, Ironheart. I need you to come on.
Ironheart.
I need you to come on and make it so I don't look crazy in the recap.
Yeah, that's fair. All right, one more thing before we get to like our deep dive into the story and the Easter eggs and things like that. Let's talk about our favorite characters. Who did you like the most?
I mean, come on. I'm such a Yelena girl. Like, there was no way I was going to come out of this movie and her not being my favorite part of it.
That's fair,
but, like, I will give a shout out to, I love Julie Louis-Dreyfus, and you know how I feel about women villains. You know that's my weak spot. So watching her just be, like, just mean. It's really enjoyable for me.
I felt like she was just she didn't have nuance as a villain.
Interesting.
Because like she had the one line where she's like, you got to realize there's bad people and worse people. Whereas like with like Thanos, you know he's bad because of what he's doing, but you understand his goal. Whereas with her, I felt like her goal was just to be bad.
For me, though, I think she's a great reflection of the current times in terms of like 'cause she's a politician above anything else. Like that's like the vibe she gives out, and I think that's what she's going for in terms of a performance. Like the line where she's like, I'm impeachable, I think was a very
unimpeachable.
I think it was a very pointed line.
Oh, absolutely. I still think like for me, it was just like it's a movie. I would have liked to. I thought, unfortunately, even with lines like that, like the one I said, there's bad people and worse people. She's such a good actress that it still works.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't take you out of the movie, but I felt like she was just such a transparently bad villain, like evil villain, that I was like, okay, I would have liked to understand what's her goal other than sort of just power. But maybe in some cases that is people's goal.
I also think it's a thing of like we saw her in all of these post-credit scenes and little cameos, but we still don't like know her a lot as a character. And so like I almost would have rather seen her in one more movie or like gotten a better idea of like who she is as a person. And then I think I would have felt that even further. But like yeah, I'm between the both of you. I think she was good, but like she could have been even stronger.
Yeah, like what is the why? Like what is her
I
why?
mean, we did get that childhood flashback that I think was really a powerful moment.
And when you think about that trauma that came from that, which was her, all these characters we see their trauma, their traumatic experiences that they carry with them, that they try to push it down, just push it very deep down. Oh my God, we've all been there. When she sees that, she goes, yeah, there's bad people and there's worse people, because she instantly lost faith in people. But I'd still like to understand why is this the thing that she thinks is going to help her over that, or feel, But anyway, she was good. I'm being
That's fair.
nitpicky.
No,
I'm
I
being
think that's
nitpicky.
fair.
Jenna, who was your favorite?
I like again Yelena, but I don't want to like retread everything Jamie said. For me, like Sebastian Stan is so good in this role. Like it is astonishing that he is almost like 2 decades into playing this character, and like he's only getting better. And I think like Bucky, even though like you could argue there's even more he could have done in this movie, I think every single scene he just has so much fun with. And then like John Walker, I think it's like he has a punchable face. He's a very problematic character, but the movie acknowledges that he does. Like it more so than Falcon and Winter Soldier, they're more aware of the fact that like he kind of sucks as a character. The movie says it out loud, so I think that also helped too. It made me like more endeared to the performance.
It's very long.
It might be a little long. I know. That was funny. That was funny.
Really was. I like Bob. I didn't expect to like Bob as much as I like Bob.
Yeah.
Like, there's just something about, like, we've all met that kid. That kid just needs a little bit of help. He just needs a friend, man. And he's, like, charming in his own sort of way, but also a little pathetic, like, in a little way. He's been beat down by the world, and I feel like he's going to be very resonant for a lot of people out there, too, moving forward.
I think my favorite character was John Walker.
Wow.
Just because I loved to hate him. Like when he talked, I laughed every time because of how outrageous what he was saying was. Like when he was like, they might just be coming to rescue me. It's like, speak for yourselves. They're not going to burn me down here. He's so arrogant that it was so entertaining. And maybe I just gravitate towards those characters because Iron Man is my other favorite, like main MCU timeline. Tony is the most arrogant person ever, and I find those people to be so entertaining. Or maybe I'm just arrogant and I see myself on screen.
You're learning a lot about yourself.
Yeah, this unsurprisingly, Thunderbolts was my therapy session. But no, Wyatt Russell is so good at being punchable.
He is.
Dude, when he mentioned how the 2-time or back-to-back high school quarterback, I'm like,
We
wow,
all
what does
know that
do with anything?
person.
What do you have to do with anything, man?
Yeah.
I think my favorite line in the movie is when Bob was like, "You're an asshole."
Yes, and then Yelena later in the movie is just like, you're a total dick and even your family knows it.
Yeah.
Whatever she said,
that
I
was
didn't have.
mean.
I was like, damn, Yelena, she took the gloves off with that one. And we're talking about favorites. I love seeing a movie in IMAX. Going to a theater and the biggest possible screen you can. That's my favorite way to watch a movie. We're here at IMAX HQ, and I believe we're here because we all really, truly, we love IMAX. What was your favorite scene in the movie where you got to see that aspect ratio, the giant screen experience, to immerse you in Thunderbolts?
There were so many, but for me, I love that first fight between them all so much, where it's clear that they've all been sent to kill each other, and just watching them beat down on a big screen was, I really enjoyed that.
For me, like the opening shot of the movie, like having, and obviously knowing behind the scenes, like how practical a lot of that was, like just seeing it in IMAX was unbelievable. And then all of the stuff in the void, like that all just was so much more immersive in the full aspect ratio.
As a lifelong weeb and Dragon Ball Z fan, Bob teleporting and handing these beatings out near the end, I was like, oh my Jesus, he is everywhere. And this is a giant screen. He just ping-ponging around. It was crazy. I was like, man, look at this.
That continuous shot being so seamless was one of the most impressive things I've seen in any Marvel movies. On a big screen is the only way to watch it. And I talked to Jake Schreier, the director of Thunderbolts, about that opening scene, Jenna, that you mentioned. And we should take a look at what he had to say about shooting that in IMAX.
I mean, there's so many sequences, like obviously Florence on top of the second tallest building in the world.
That was cool.
You can really see that from a drone, and Katie, who did the base jump, and you're watching that happen with all of Kuala Lumpur in the background, and there's that sort of heart drop moment of watching that fall. We were really trying. It's interesting, like with a building like that, oddly, because it's so tall, it's actually hard to get a sense of scale because there's nothing that surrounds it, like on its level, and so we had to really design it. The side she has to step off on because of the way the building's oriented, there's not a lot of city there. And so to get that kind of scope and scale in, we had to design a drone shot that looks back towards the city as she's falling. But even then, there's so few, including a building that, was one of the tallest buildings in the world, a decade ago, is now dwarfed. To have that extra aspect ratio and really get a sense of that scale, it really helps. And then you go through the desert sequence, and I think the whole kind of saving civilians sequence at the end in New York and feeling that height. I mean, it's really fun to watch the movie open up in those ways.
Let's start with that scene. When we go through our breakdown of the movie, let's start with the first scene. It starts with her on the rooftop. It tells you what this movie is going to be before you even can process that. She says, something is wrong with me, and she jumps off a building. I mean, the coding in that is...
That sets the tone.
It does.
Yeah. It's the same moment later, when Bob is like, you can just leave me behind to die. Yeah. These people have mental problems that are also relatable in a way that, none of us can punch through a wall successfully. But there is a relatability to this movie that's really kind of beautiful and dark and really fits well, I think, with the world today.
And I think something about them just all being soldiers in various different ways and being products of the system that they were in, but then having issues with the people that they are outside of the system. I remember when this movie was announced, it's all people with guns and shields. What is the point of this movie?
And they made a joke.
And they literally leaned into it, and they made it this thing of it is beautiful that all of these characters from all of these disparate backstories and everything have this commonality between them.
I mean, when you're talking about making the narrative the way it is, having them all go back to go up that elevator shaft is such a physical metaphor for the entire movie. It's y'all gonna have to work together.
Yeah.
And if you don't, you're gonna go splat.
Yeah.
Or you can just grab Yelena's baton and risk everybody's life.
It's my guy. It's my guy. No.
I told Jenna afterwards, I was like, I can't believe how long they were in that building trying to escape. At first I was like, this is weird that they spent 45 minutes here. But the more I thought about it, but all of it was good.
Yes.
I was expecting them to go to another location, but even still, they were there, and everything that happened there was fun. And it is dark and bleak and relatably sad, but also funny.
Yeah. And I noticed last night was the second time I watched it. And so when I'm not focused on trying to unpack what's coming next, I was just trying to be more analytical to get ready for today. And I noticed that first hour, which starts on the building, but then, 10 minutes in, you're in that bunker and you're there for a while. It is a lot of exposition, but it's well-written exposition that when you're watching through, it's for... If you haven't seen Ant-Man and the Wasp and the Falcon and the Winter Soldier and Black Widow and everything else, Bucky wasn't there yet, but just they have a way of, through the characters meeting each other, explaining what they all can do, why they're all there, and Taskmaster, I talked to Jake about this too, and he kind of had what felt like a sense of guilt over killing Taskmaster. That's how I felt he felt, and I wanted to just be no one's gonna care.
That's what gets me though, because it almost feels like they were wink wink haha to all the people that so hated her so much in Black Widow. It almost felt like it felt a little icky to me that they were like, oh, you hated her, let's shoot her in the face in her first 5 minutes. You're right, did I really care? Not the point, but it's
you
still...
thought you were supposed to, but you didn't. You thought you were supposed... You were like, wait, am I...
But it still felt a little icky,
right?
right?
It felt reactionary to a degree. I also, for me, what was the most shocking part of it was, she only had one line of dialogue.
But they showed her face, and I was like, oh, they really did get Olga to come do the scene. Okay, interesting.
I don't know. I expected it, but then at the same time, like you look at other movies that kill off characters very early on, and you at least get like a little bit more attached to them before immediately something happens.
I mean, in Suicide Squad, didn't they give a full introduction to everybody on
Yes,
that
they
team
did,
before
yeah.
they slaughtered everybody?
Yeah.
Rat-ta-ta-ta. Like, it was bad.
Yeah.
funny
Slipknot
deaths.
spoke a lot more. Weasel had more lines in Suicide Squad before drowning, but Weasel's still alive. But I mean, I didn't care. I'm not going to act like I cared. I know we're supposed to act like, oh, this character, this actress. And I feel bad for the actress who probably was very excited for the role. It's not her fault. But I mean, with what they did to Tony Masters and made it this other alternate story for Black Widow, and I liked the Black Widow movie, people just didn't accept it. I wasn't a fan of the Taskmaster twist and that sort of being the red on the ledger reveal from Avengers that I was waiting for forever. I mean, I liked it. I liked the Black Widow movie a lot. And then I thought the Taskmaster was one of the weaker parts of the film.
I think it's also worth noting that we all knew she was going to die
Yes.
quickly. From the
Oh.
trailers. We've been talking about this for a year.
Marketing gave up on keeping that secret too,
Yeah.
because there was the one time they added her to the Avengers Tower shot, and then they just stopped even using that shot and
Yeah.
stopped putting her in the elevator.
She was cooked the second her name wasn't on the back of one of them chairs.
Well, we're,
Yes, that's true.
Yeah.
I have a lot of feelings about that. I don't know if we want to talk about the chairs now.
We have a doomsday set. We'll get to
Yeah,
what
we'll
does
get
it all
there,
mean.
yeah.
Let's
We'll get to the chairs.
Yeah, so Taskmaster cooked early on. Ghost was the one who did it. Hannah John Kamen had to be like, goodbye, Olga. I wonder, as a performer, do you ever feel like, my character's killing your character? Are you mad at me for that? Probably
I'm
not,
more
though.
mad at the writers.
Yeah, right. What do we got here? Val's plan comes into focus, and Bucky Barnes returns. Congressman Bucky Barnes returns, and Val's plan is really to become unimpeachable, which she does, or claim to be later in the film. Lewis Pullman debuts as Bob. What do we got here? The couple Easter eggs. The Global Nexus broadcasting at the very end of the movie when she says the new Avengers. There's one of the broadcast trucks says Global Nexus Broadcasting, and that to me is like, oh, that's a reference to Nexus points, or Nexus, not canon. It's canon events in Spider-Verse. It's Nexus points in the MCU, right? That's what they
Nexus
call it.
beings?
Or Nexus beings, is that what it was? But
There's
isn't it-
so many MacGuffins.
yeah, and then you got the comics phrases and all that. Her revealing the Thunderbolts to be the new Avengers is very Norman Osborn.
Yes.
Because there's that panel where he says the Dark Avengers, and he's
Yes.
looking at a different roster. But that felt to me, and I'm sure you can speak more to this, Jenna.
It is like almost the way that it was framed, just like obviously the circumstances of how we got there were much more like comedic to a degree. But like, yeah, I immediately thought of that moment. And I remember when this movie was announced, people were like, how much of the original Thunderbolts like mythos are we going to get in here? But like that moment alone, I was like, oh, I understand what we're doing here.
I mean, instead of shooting the Squirrel Queen, you just killed Bob. Or
Yeah.
tried to kill Bob, anyway.
I think Sentry was really well done.
Yes.
And this is a character who, I mean, as I learned today when we were recording Heroes Reborn, has a history in comics that goes back before this. I actually didn't know that.
So it's very funny. I have a video about it on my YouTube channel, by the way, breaking it all down. But they decided to create the character in the early 2000s, and they were like, what if we had fun with this and made it seem like he was a character who was created for Marvel's golden age and just like was lost to the sands of time? So they created fake concept art that they said it was like from Stan Lee and some random artist, and they were like, oh, this was in the 40s and we just found it in some random like box in a basement. And Stan Lee played along with it. He did interviews about like what their plans were for Sentry, and then they debuted Sentry in the comics, and they were like, oh, he's this lost hero who like mind wiped his existence from all of the other heroes except for like Reed Richards and Hulk and a couple of other characters. And then eventually, once the Sentry miniseries was done, they came out and they were like, yeah, we created him like 2 months ago, and we just kind of like leaned into it. And even Stan Lee was like, I like lying when it comes to fun stuff like this, so I'm totally willing to do it. But it was cool, like knowing that backstory and then still seeing how they wove it into the movie. Like they didn't fully try to retcon him into the Battle of New York or do anything with that, but I think they really had fun with like the government program of all of it and just Bob as a person being so like separate from Sentry as we got him.
And then, I mean, also his dark side, this void, is another part of the comics that is not delivered in the movie the same way it is in comics. That's like more of a split personality thing, not like an allegory for depression.
Yes, and it's more of like a primordial being, like it's this like massive thing, and that's part of why he like wipes his memory from all of these heroes, because he's like, otherwise Void's gonna take over and just like ruin the world. And so I almost liked it better. It felt more purposeful the way that it was done in this movie. Like given how much time we had, like making it the allegory was definitely the way to go.
Yeah. Earlier in the movie, obviously Easter eggs in Avengers Tower. We're back at Avengers Tower.
Oh my
Not that I've been
finally.
like, begging to go back. I skipped to the end with the title reveal. But my goodness, when we went back to Avengers Tower, it was unrecognizable. The part that was that greenery from Spider-Man Far From Home is now covered with a gold glass, which has been shattered now in this movie, so maybe it'll be greenery again. And then it became the Watchtower, which is a location for, it's like Sentry's spot in comics. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I've been waiting for Avengers Tower for a very long time. And I didn't find this to be incredibly satisfying of an answer.
I really thought that Sentry was going to throw her out that window, and then at the end credit was going to be like, Fisk bought it or whatever, like something like crazy. Like, I thought that like you were going to get a better result, but
It's going to be the Baxter Building after this. There's no, because as we see in the credit scene, and we'll talk about that too, they're here.
Yeah.
It's going to become the Baxter Building. It has to. And you need to use that building for something more meaningful than a villain who... And Val's obviously not done.
Yes.
But also, it seems to be the new Avengers Tower.
Also, it's a building. Like, I don't like it's.
It's not just a building. It's a part of his soul.
You
It's
put some
been
respect
10
on it.
years since Ultron when they moved out of that building. Like,
So you don't even know what movie it was.
didn't they move? They
Spider-Man Homecoming.
The end. No, the end of Ultron though was when they moved to the new facility.
They did have the upstate
Technically.
facility. Spider-Man Homecoming was when he's like, Tony's packing everything up to go to the facility in upstate New York.
Yeah, and we saw the facility in Ultron, so it has been 10 years.
That was close one. Close one. I thought we had to end our friendship. Jamie hates BD's love of Avengers Tower.
Confirmed.
But I don't know. That did feel like an underwhelming, sort of result for it. But I think that the landmark is obviously not done. I think the reconstruction and the construction will be finished, the reconstruction will be done, and it will become another landmark in the MCU. And hopefully the TV shows stop trying to avoid that section of the New York skyline. Did anybody wonder where the hell Daredevil and Kingpin and Spider-Man during this movie? Because I'm not gonna lie, the whole time this is happening in New York, I was like, "There's no way that they're not showing."
They need to flash over to the law offices and just have a bunch of silt,
Yes.
dark silt floating around.
I am curious since like season 2 of Daredevil if there's gonna be like any acknowledgement whatsoever that this happened, because I know we've
doubt
talked on the show before about like what did Matt feel during the blip, and it's like this feels like a more recent thing that they could possibly touch on.
Backyard.
Yeah.
I do feel like though it all happened so fast that maybe they were on their way. Like it's not like the Battle of New York where it lasted like a whole act of a movie. Like it was so quick. I think they might have been around. We just didn't see that much. They were in the void for so much of it.
Like, think about Batman vs Superman's opening scene, where Bruce Wayne is driving up to the destruction of Metropolis. I know it's one of your favorite movies, and it shows this alternate version of it where Batman was there.
Right. Okay. I've seen it. No, I have. I really have seen it.
Jamie loves Batman vs Superman.
How dare you? How dare you put positive Snyder words into my face?
Oh, as somebody who likes Zach's work, I will. Yeah. Anyway, what else am I missing here about the story? They come together.
They break out. Alexi shows up to get them.
Alexi shows up, and Yelena is hiding from him. But Terminator Bucky shows up. Terminator Bucky, you okay?
I had that thought. I'm like, I literally was like, I could go home and watch T2 right now. Like that was the first thought I had.
Somebody needs to get that scene and da-dum, dum, da-dum,
that'd
put
be
it over the track. That was very obviously fully inspired by Terminator, and for Sebastian Stan, you know that was a fun like moment and day and experience for him. So that he captures all of them. Bob, everybody's yelling about Bob. He gets the call from Val's, I keep forgetting her name. Mel. Okay, wait, but Mel's wearing a certain necklace.
Yes.
That's very indicative of who she's going to be from
Yeah,
comics.
so she's wearing a bird necklace, and in the comics, she's Songbird, who is a member of the Thunderbolts, has like sonic powers, and is kind of this more like very scrappy kind of punk rock superhero. So obviously, this is a little bit of a different origin story, and I'm not expecting to get like some full arc of her becoming a superhero, because there's a laundry list of characters who we probably are going to see first. But I still was like, it's cool to see her in the movie.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, all the shield tech in this movie is just that screeching sonic cannons from Iron Man. That's totally, I could totally see them putting her in her
That
suit
is true,
for it.
yeah.
And there was like a shield reference, I thought, in the opening scene with Val when she was like, somebody has to shield the American public. And the way she emphasized the word shield, I was like, oh, that's a reference.
I will say there was a moment where I really brought me to Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and it's at her gala where they have Chitauri artifacts.
Yeah.
And
Because,
Loki scepter too, right? And the guns that Chitauri were using and the handcuffs.
One of the best season 1 episodes of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is Fizzed, where a fire station ends up with a Chitauri helmet, but it makes them, it has some kind of effect on people people and they die. It's like a virus from touching the Chitauri helmet. And I was like, I hope they're using gloves, because I know what Fitzsimmons had to do with that Chitauri stuff.
Brad Winderbaum watched this with Kevin, and he was like, Kev, if they're going to touch those handcuffs, you got to be ready. And Kevin's like, I've never watched S.H.I.E.L.D. in my life. I don't know if that's true.
Also, can we shout out Wendell Pierce, who, like, I didn't know he was in this movie till the second trailer. He was delightful as, like, the congressman kind of butting heads with Val. And, like, between this and Superman, where he's Perry White, it's like, I'm glad we have the summer of him just, like, crushing it.
The way they just kept jousting and telling him to get bit, basically, both of them going, oh, this is a waste of taxpayer resources. And he's like, this is...
Him and Bucky arguing about packets.
Right.
Very much
Read the packets.
He's like, damn!
Yeah.
And then him and Val turn and smile for the camera, and it's like, politicians all full of it.
Big Larry Bird and Michael Jordan for the Last Dance energy.
What a reference. What a cut.
Oh, yeah.
Did you guys notice when John Walker came in and smashed the wires in the beginning, he said, on your left?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, of course.
That was
Of
one that
course.
all the Marvel fans laughed at, and anybody who somehow didn't see Endgame was like, what's so funny? What was that? I'm not in on the joke. I mean, I didn't really do like a thorough Easter egg because I felt like this was a pretty straightforte movie.
Yeah, there's not a whole
Like,
lot
Aaron
of
didn't
Easter
get
eggs.
punched once.
Yeah,
Because
no.
there were no, like, big shocking things.
Yeah.
Because even, like we talked about, like, Fantastic Four in the end is, like, it's not like we didn't know the Fantastic Four were coming soon.
Right. Well, let's talk about the credit scene because I think Spider-Man should have shown up. I think Fisk should have been. If season 2 of Daredevil doesn't start with him being like, you believe me about vigilantes now. Like, the tower turned the city black after I did first. Like, you know, how are we not going to have a crossover? I just had to get my Kingpin impression in. But I really want to harp on the fact that I wish Spider-Man and Daredevil showed up. Well, honestly, though, I think there's people who would have had that detract from the movie for them.
Yes. To me, I didn't need it. I was actually more curious of, I want to know who Sam's roster is. Like, they're talking about Sam's lineup of Avengers. I thought they were going to show us a picture, like on the news or something.
They're still deciding.
You're probably right.
Yeah.
But I really did think, like, that was going to be the big thing. Because I saw, like, a tweet or something was like, the best post-credit scene in the history of Marvel. I'm like, okay, it was good. But it wasn't.
It's pretty
It
good.
was no Kelsey Grammer.
Wow, this was better than this. I'm sorry.
I also think this one had intent behind it. Like, it was.
Yes.
We know exactly what it is leading to, and we haven't had a lot of post-credit scenes in this whole saga that, like, we know exactly what they're going to. Like, it felt like a remnant of the Infinity Saga in a way.
And it did confirm that they're coming to, like, the main universe.
Yes.
Like, we assumed, but this was the official confirmation.
Yes.
Do you think all 4 Fantastic Four are on that ship?
1,000%. Yes.
All the names are on that chair.
You're not separating them.
I don't know.
They would not leave each other behind. Let me put it that way.
Imagine if
What
we
if
were
they don't have a
sitting
trip?
here in IMAX without Jenna.
How does the Secret Wars comic start?
That doesn't matter.
Oh my God, Brandon, you know what?
Well, are they together?
Oh,
are Reed and
yeah,
Sue
that-
together? Specifically, Reed. That's pretty tough on Reed to start with.
Oh my God.
I think they're already going to be sad enough by the end of their movie, most likely, depending on what the fate of their universe is. Like, I don't know. I feel like they're all just jumping into that ship together.
I said it on Heroes Reforged, and our episode's going to release first, so I'm going to say it here. Could just be Franklin on that. Could just be Franklin Richards on that.
Just
on
like
that ship.
full Krypton style.
Going like Sam Alexander Nova coming in, like Avengers vs. X-Men opening, coming in with a warning. Like Galactus and this other threat, or Doom knows how to jump universes or something, and he's coming to warn this Earth. Maybe this Earth is the anchor being of all the universes or something. I don't know.
See, but I will say with the Fantastic Four, I want it to be all of them, and I want it to be where when they land, this is the first team of heroes that they're meeting, because I think like juxtaposing how like sunny and aspirational and adventure-y their universe is, and then they get there and Alexi's wearing a like sponsored branded sweatsuit with Wheaties and all of these, like I feel like that they're gonna get here and they're gonna be like, these guys suck. Like they don't know how to be heroes.
Literally in the background, like dinner at 7 p.m. on the nose versus you guys suck, you guys hate each other.
Yeah.
How do you work together?
Yeah.
That's going to be funny.
Yeah.
That scene, by the way, was shot just a few weeks ago by the Russos.
Weeks ago?
The Russos shot that sequence, and it was shot very recently.
Whoa.
Yeah, so that was not Jake. That was definitely... I don't know if that is going to be in Doomsday. I think it's going to be more like the Captain Marvel credit scene,
Yeah.
where you have the characters and you'll get like maybe a version of like before or after that moment, and you'll know that if you remember it. but that was directed by the Russos.
That beeper scene was the first thing I thought of when we saw it in the theater. Was like, oh, there you go.
And I think you're spot on. I love this scene because it feels like there's direction.
Yes.
The MCU has lost my trust on post-credit scenes in a lot of ways. We're never going to see Harry Styles again. Like, maybe, but I don't
You
believe
can buy
we
a
are.
ticket.
Kid Harington and Blade met. When? Where? You said this one feels like we obviously know. We have the next movie paying off that ship, and the movie after that bringing them all together. So that to me is very exciting.
I'm really hoping, because at this point Bob's like not using his powers, right? And obviously I'm sure he's gonna use his powers next time. And I really hope that there's like we get to see him rediscovering that or just figuring it out. Because like I would hate for it to be like a Multiverse of Madness ending thing where like the way that they jumped ahead instantly for Doctor Strange in a way that's like, give me some character development here. I really love Bob now. He's my boy, and I'd like to see him figuring this out, not just all of a sudden he's in a lineup like I'm this guy.
Jenna, and I guess, was this a Civil War where they took Sentry off the board because he's just too powerful?
Yeah.
Like, where he just like,
He's so
you
powerful.
can't be here. Which I feel like unfortunately, I feel like he's just a walking weapon.
They managed to have Vision in the movie Civil War.
I do think with Sentry, I feel like the way that would be really clever to use him would be to have him like touch Doom and get some like sort of flashback. Like if in the movie, I think that would be a cool way to like thematically just be like, here's how we organically see what that Doom's backstory looks like. I don't know.
Giving away the sauce for free. Oh my, that's a good idea.
Hey,
I
Kevin.
just noticed that Avengers logo in the post-credit scene sort of gave a Cerebro sort of inspired thing. It was like here, then it opened up.
Yeah.
I got
yeah.
Cerebro doors, you know.
Oh, I didn't think about that.
I got
but love
vibes.
that.
I got vibes. And
Ooh.
people who see Thunderbolts in IMAX, they're going to start with the Fantastic Four IMAX
Countdown.
intro and
Yeah.
end with the last thing you see being the Fantastic Four ship. That's a pretty good experience.
Really good full circle.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's cool. All right, was there anything else we want to talk about from how this could set up Doomsday and Fantastic Four?
Chairs.
Well, yeah, we got to talk about the chairs.
Let's hear it. Come on.
I am mad that the chairs were before this movie because I think that it killed some of the stakes. Every time, like when Yelena got blotted or voided, I don't know what we're calling it, it was like, she's fine because I saw her chair. And there was a moment where I'm like, oh, this could have been when Alexi dies, but I saw her chair. And I don't think that's going to matter in the long run. Like, I'm going to see it a second time. I already know. Oh, it's only the first experience. It doesn't really matter, but I don't like that. It's like, it feels like they're putting studio, like, gimmicky, like, 5-hour stream ahead of the quality of a film, of a narrative, and that bothers me. Again, it doesn't really matter because I'm gonna see this movie 15 times in my life, and by time 2 I already know what happens.
Yeah.
But I just think they should have waited till after this movie at least, because it's the same thing with Olga, right? Like she's the only one from the poster that didn't have a chair.
You know, I wouldn't be shocked if those chairs were done right around the time they filmed the credit scene.
Oh, I believe that,
And
yeah.
so I think the chairs were a move to prevent leaks from having the casting be revealed and letting Marvel control the narrative on who is in the movie.
I will also say, like, the majority of the audience that's going to go see this movie probably doesn't even like if they watched the chairs, if they were aware of the chairs, which we know a lot of people were, they might not even remember all of the names that are on them by this point. That was almost a month ago.
You're right. My mother didn't watch the chairs.
Yeah.
And but it's still it's like the point of it.
Yeah, I get it though. I do
know,
agree with you.
It's
Yeah.
because the bit
Aaron's losing over there. Aaron, what's going on?
It's a chair talk, yo.
We're going to end this episode, we're going to turn our chairs around and show our names. Every 15 minutes, you'll find out one more Phase Hero co-host. Honestly, wait a second. We got little IMAX
Our chair
name
names
stickers.
are on
We should do a social media video where we stick them on the back of the chairs and then go I'm doing it after this. I'm definitely doing that after this.
I do agree with you though. It's the principle of the thing.
It absolutely it didn't make the movie worse.
Yeah.
But it doesn't sit right with me from a creative standpoint for an art standpoint.
Yeah, you have a point. Yeah. I agree. It stinks. I expected Taskmaster to be the only person who dies
Yes.
the whole time, not just because of the chairs, but because of the trailers. There was one point where I thought Bucky was going to die.
Oh.
When he stood up to fight Sentry one-on-one, I was like, wait a second. are they actually going to do it? Because it was like dramatic the way he took his vest off and people were like, oh, look at Sebastian.
They just wanted us to see those arms.
I'm not mad about it. Good
or
for him.
arm, I should say.
That oh my God.
I did have a moment where I, like, with the first trailer especially, where I thought Alexia was going to die. Because even, like, talking about, like, editing
out that window.
Taskmaster out of shots, I remember, like, where Red Guardian is standing when they're all talking to Val, I'm like, he could have easily been, like, edited in and
When
out
he
if
got
they had
yeeted
needed
out,
to. Yeah.
I thought he might not get yeeted back.
Yeah, and it would have, like, been this interesting arc of, like, the father-daughter relationship if he had, like, sacrificed himself
Aw.
for Yelena's
Yeah.
sake. But at the same
That
time,
would've
I'm like,
been heavy.
I'm glad he's still around. David Harbour's having a great
Don't
I
worry,
know.
he'll do that in Doomsday.
Romanovs
You know
falling
what?
off of tall buildings into
Oh, no. Okay,
No!
but that makes Yelena doing that even sadder.
Oh my God! Wait a second! I can't believe I wasn't the one who thought
I
of
know.
it. Yelena out here jumping off a building to start the thing, and I didn't even think of Natasha.
There was a moment when that scene was beautiful between
Yes.
David Harbour and Florence Pugh. I
It
love
was,
that scene,
it
but I
was.
really wanted him to be like, let's go visit your mother. Like, where's Rachel Weisz?
Yeah, that's a good
She
question.
just has her
That's a good
pigs. She's
question.
just chilling with her
I
pigs.
really wanted a cameo.
I thought we might have got a young Natasha in one of
Oh,
those.
me too.
yeah.
Yeah.
I actually thought it was young
Yeah,
Natasha.
same
because
here.
That girl looked like she had red hair, and the one that turned out to be Yelena when they were loading and unloading the gun, but they said Yelena.
I like that they got the same girl from Black
Yes.
Widow. Like this, because like age-wise, it makes sense,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
she's great, and it was nice to see her again. Yeah.
One last thing we didn't talk about is, I mean, the whole theme of this movie is it is a metaphor and a message about depression, addiction, suicide, and things like that. And the visual representation of those themes I found to be so impressive. The moment when Bob goes towards the void in that, what would you call, I don't know what you call that space. Was that just whole thing the void, like those rooms that were made
Oh
up?
yeah,
That was the void.
They
Yeah.
were in the void, and he's fighting the void, and he goes and he's just beating on him and beating on him, and that is the void consuming him, which to me I thought was a metaphor for essentially committing suicide. And Yelena breaks free, and when she came over and fought to get to him and grabbed him and said, "You're not alone," like as somebody who's been there, like I've been there. I've had friends who have come to me and like whether literally or just metaphorically by being there, answering the phone and checking on me, saying like, "Hey, you know, love you." That saves your life.
Yeah.
And that's what they did. And that was like, Yelena comes over there and one at a time, they all come over and they have to pull him off with this group hug. That to me was like a metaphor for your friends and family being the people who can save you from yourself in a moment where you're doubting yourself or you're, thinking about entering the void.
I'm just like, you're gonna make me cry, especially with the three of you here, because like I agree wholeheartedly. Aaron,
Yeah. I was gonna say, like, so having it framed in that laboratory, that's when Yelena's at her lowest. That's when
Yes.
she's at her nadir. And she
Yeah.
has to revisit it to
Yes.
bring him back from the same nadir
Yeah.
that she
Yeah.
beat out earlier in the movie. I was like, that's really shrewd bit of
Yeah.
filmmaking.
The void just in general I loved, and I also loved when they all showed up to support her when they realized they took a
Yes.
risk.
Yeah.
They took a
Yeah.
risk jumping in
Right.
there, and that moment I thought was really beautiful. But one thing that I really love about The Void was one of my top 10 favorite films of all time is Being John Malkovich, and a lot of the way that was filmed reminded me of that movie, which is like quite literally one of the highest compliments. To be like, this reminded me of a Spike Jonze moment, like is pretty high. And that once we had The Void, I was like, oh, this movie is unlike anything we've seen in Marvel before. Like the tone and whatever, and we all talked about how this is like a street level thing, but then it did get, I don't want to say like mystical, but you know what I mean, like
Yeah.
there is like the supernatural kind
Metaphysical
of element,
kinda, yeah.
that came through that I was not expecting for this movie, because I don't know a lot about Sentry, and I didn't know we were going to get into this void, and I really, The Void is when I was like, this is a 4-star movie for me. So on Letterboxd, not on Phase Hero, because that's not how we do it here.
Oh, well, look at him.
My least favorite part of the movie was when they had the big CGI shot of all the cranes wrecking buildings. That was it, because everything felt so grounded. Everything felt so tangible, and that like it still found a way in to make that void feel like a thing that you can wrap your head around, because it is just a metaphor for something we've all experienced in some way or another. Yeah, that was cool.
Can you please talk about a little girl? Please.
Yo, so David Harbour, Red Guardian, shields this little girl from falling debris, and then yeet! Sentry, the void says, "Be gone!"
that was the closest Jamie came to slapping either.
Oh,
of us.
yeah, that's true.
No!
I'm sorry.
Jamie hates
It
kids
was-
confirmed.
Yeah.
Jamie hates children. I'm just kidding.
Because
I'm
also
scared of kids.
when
They
she
say
came
that.
back,
Yeah.
you also laughed.
Well, yeah, it was fun. Well, yeah, so when the kid first went, I'm sorry, that was funny to me. Like,
I
it
was
funny.
shocked.
Because the way he's like, it's going to be, you're safe now. Boop! And like, and it had, but you know what? It did have a vibe of the blip, like,
Yeah.
and so part of me knew that the kid was coming back, but I did laugh when she came back again. I'm sorry, it was like, it was funny.
Is that the third time we've gotten something that feels like Endgame in the MCU, like between Spaghetti Vision and Loki and then that? It's like, man, you got to watch out for particle effects in this universe.
If there's one universe you don't want to live in, like it's the MCU. I might be better off in The Walking Dead
Oh my God.
because at least you know it's coming. There's no surprises around the corner. Like this is just. If you're especially in New York, you do not want to live in. The price of rent in New York must be way lower than it is in our timeline. Goodness gracious!
I have to say with the girl moment, because like there's a scene in the newest trailer for Fantastic Four where like the little girl is going and picking up the Thing action figure that she like dropped on the street, and it's also in a character poster too. And I was kind of like, I wondered after the trailer, is Galactus going to step on her? Because I was like, as he's walking through the city, and
Bro, what?
And like everyone I talked to was like, that's way too dark. There's no way that's gonna happen. But like after this movie, I'm like, I don't know. It would be very dark,
But
but
you ain't coming back from a Galactus squash.
No.
Avoid you might. Where do you like? My question is, where'd that little girl go?
I think she's like, hopefully her life has been that traumatic in her
right.
7 years,
What-
because she was. I am curious. What did everyone see in the void?
Bucky saying, "Oh, my history's totally clean." It was a cakewalk for me. I
Yeah,
was like,
that
was
no.
funny. Two last things really quick as we got to wrap this up. The first one, I want to give Sunlux a shout out for the score. It didn't have like a catchy score, I don't think, that I can remember in my head, but I do know I was consciously thinking during several scenes, the score is amplifying the emotion and like the quality of this moment several times. I thought they did a really good job of doing that score. And then David Arbor, Red Guardian, Alexei Shostakov walking in the credit scene with a shirt that says Avengers with a Z. It's almost as if you just change one letter and you can get away with it. It's a whole new brand. I thought that was really clever marketing. Huh. Anyway, time for the 10 score. We're going to go around. Jamie,
Okay.
out of 10.
All right.
What'd you think of Thunderbolts?
I'm going to give it a 8.9.
Okay, 8.9. That's pretty good.
That's about where I'm at too.
I got to get the calculator. Okay, hold on.
Yeah, I would say 8.9.
All right.
8.9 plus 8.9.
I got 8.6.
8.6. I'm going to give it a 9.
9. All right. We're all pretty close.
It's an 8.85. It's an 8.9 rounded up because it's 5, as public school taught me. 8.9. That's a pretty solid score. And if you see it in IMAX, it's a 93 out of 10.
Yes.
So big thanks to IMAX for having us here today.
Yeah, I'm so grateful we all really liked it. Because, like, this is such a cool space.
Yes.
It was awesome of IMAX to have us here. And, like, if we would have just been like, the movie sucked, like, what a bummer.
Yeah, having a fun movie to talk about
Yeah.
definitely helps.
Yeah, it definitely makes it better. All right, Aaron, any last words for today's show?
Thank you guys for having us out here. Thank you guys for watching. We want to be all in the same space. You guys watching
Yes.
and commenting and sharing is how that happens. So if
Yes.
you like this, keep watching. Go watch some of the recommended things that are coming after this.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jenna?
It's at Hey It's Jenna Lynn on social media, and as always, go subscribe to my YouTube channel, which is at Go Read Some Comics. And yeah, just thank you guys for supporting us and getting us to the point of being able to do stuff like this. This is so cool.
This is awesome. Just being the four of us anytime we're together, it's
Yes.
just amazing. When you go see Thunderbolts in IMAX, you better not take your phone out once. That's all I have to say about that.
Just went Matt Hardy. Delete. Delete. Guys, thank you so much for watching Phase Hero. Thank you for watching all the interviews. I've been all around the world in the past 2 weeks, and this is the last stop of this insane. I've been around the world twice, actually, if you think about it. So this is the last stop, and it's the one I've had circled on the calendar for weeks and months ever since the conversation about doing this at IMAX started. So this is a dream for us to be here with Phase Hero, to be celebrating watching a movie in a format that I genuinely love and have wanted to support, and now to feel supported by them. It's pretty surreal. So thank you all for making that possible for Phase Hero. Share your reactions to Thunderbolts in the comments section. Make sure to check out the interviews with Jake Schreier, Hannah John Common, Lewis Pullman on the channel, and just stay tuned for more because, Fantastic Four is right around the corner. Lisanne, I want to give you a shout out. Thank you so much for spending your time with us on Phase Hero. We really, really appreciate you and send love. And play our show for your dad, play it for your cat, and we will see you on Monday for our regularly scheduled weekly episode. See you there, everybody.
You